Hello, everyone, and welcome in. Today is Friday, May 17th, so end of the week, weekend's almost here, and we're going to jump in and see what all energies want to come through for you today from God, Spirit, the Divine. And we'll be taking a look at the collective energy first and then going sign grouping by sign grouping. Earlier this week, I did get the videos posted for the second half of May, so make sure to check those out and see what all energies might be coming through for you. It also takes a look at things like when different planets move into different signs. So, for example, the sun is moving into Gemini on the 20th, so that's coming up here pretty soon. And let's go ahead and see what we have. As always, though, remember, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. If this doesn't seem to be your storyline, then the message is maybe intended for somebody else for today. But if the storyline is resonating, then there's something in here for you. I would also encourage you to hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to be alerted as to when new content posts. I will be doing some additional videos over the weekend as well. So let's jump in and see what we have in store for today. At the collective level, we have the World, we have the Fool in reverse, and we have the Hierophant in reverse. I'm wanting to say the Hierophant in reverse came out yesterday as well. When we're looking at the energy here, for one, this is I'll call it kind of a big time for you. There's some big things happening because of the fact that this is all major arcana. We have the World, which is the 21 card, the Fool in reverse, which is the 0 card, and then the Hierophant, which is the 5. Now, remember the World, this is the wrapping up of cycles. This is you're finishing up one phase in your life. Energetically, something is pushing through. There's a lesson that you've learned. There's something that you're kind of getting that sense of victory or success. And keep in mind that sometimes victory and success may not look warm and fuzzy. So don't necessarily be expecting that, oh, I did this, and then now all of a sudden, confetti from the ceiling, and this is great, and I feel like going out and dancing. So it could also be that for some of you, this victory and this success is getting to the end of a really tough cycle. And sometimes getting to the end of a really tough cycle looks like clawing yourself out of it and then just collapsing on the floor like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made it through that. So remember, with the World, even though it's that sense of victory and celebration, don't necessarily associate that with big high energy feelings, at least not necessarily right now. If you're going through something that's tough, it may take a little bit to be able to look back on that and say, oh, thank goodness, that really did happen. With the Fool in reverse, the Fool in reverse has that energy of being afraid to take a leap of faith, kind of a little bit of that sense of clinging to the past. If this is related to like a relationship, for example, if you have broken up with somebody, like if you ended a relationship or they ended it with you, and that wraps up a bad cycle, there might be a lot of that hesitation of, okay, I really don't want to get back into one. Like I just got out of one, I'm still healing. So sometimes between learning one lesson and moving on into a different place in your life, there might be that sense of, I don't want to move. I just want to sit here. I just want to work on me. I just want to recover. So that's something, it has a sense of, I would say, timing and pacing associated with it, that there's going to be a little bit of a delay between learning one lesson, closing out a cycle, and the beginning of the new one. So it's not like, oh, this is done 10 minutes later, if this is a relationship. And for some of you, this might be the case, but the energy that's coming in is it's not like, oh, I ended a relationship 10 minutes later. Let's set up my accounts on these online dating profiles and get right back out there. There could be a delay. With this Hierophant in reverse, this is about thinking outside of the box, breaking free of traditional structures. As we weave them all together, and we'll see what this looks like for each individual sign or sign grouping, this might play out a little bit differently. As we're looking at it and like energetically what wants to come in, I'm trying to get this where the glare is not really bad on it. But you could be kind of taking that time to think, okay, what do I really want this next step to be about? If I've just wrapped up one cycle and learned some tough lessons, how do I think outside of the box? How do I do something different so that the next time around I get different results? Remember, that's that whole thing of if you want, you know, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. So that's kind of that time in between of how do I think outside of the box? How do I do something that is feeling right for me? And then I'll get started on whatever the next new thing is. So it's almost like that sense of taking a pause. All right, let's start with, my mind is not getting a clear picture of what to start with. So we'll just drop this over here and see it's closest to Cancer, which is water signs. So we will start with water signs. Sometimes I get that feeling or that push of, oh, we're starting with this sign today, but I didn't have clear messages one way or the other. So water signs it is. What are the challenges that for water sign as they're going through this ending of a cycle and beginning of a new one? What is the main challenge here for our water signs? 7 of Pentacles, and that's going to be about your blessings. And then your 10 of Swords in reverse. All right, here we go. Our 7 of Pentacles, this is about reaping the benefits of what you've been working on. And your 10 of Swords in reverse is turning a corner and learning lessons. So this may have been a long time coming. But since this is in your challenge space, your challenge is you've been working towards something for a long time. And now that it's starting to come in, you're really struggling with turning a corner on it. This might be something that feels very big. It feels very important to you. And it's almost that sense of, I know there's a lesson here. I know I need to learn it, but I really don't want to. If it's related to a person, it might be that sense of, I know I really need to move on from this person. This is not the right person for me, but I really don't want to because I really love them. I really have fun with them, or, like whatever the case may be. There's a reluctance to moving on. Let's see what other energy is pushing down. So that's the challenge for our water signs, is moving on and, maybe feeling like, yes, there's something better out here for me, but am I worthy of it? Because this is about rewards and benefits, and that's a challenge for you. Death in reverse. So yes, this is clinging to the past and not wanting to learn lessons and moving on. So even though energetically there's this big push of close this out, let yourself sit and regroup and figure out what you want to do, there's still, for our water signs, this energy of clinging to something that just really isn't working for you. Let's see what else wants to come out for our water signs. Like with our soul journey affirmation cards, let's see what's going on here. Guilt. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. You might be staying with them out of guilt, whatever that means for your scenario. That, you might feel bad about the fact that you no longer feel the same way about them. And sometimes that can be a very real and challenging thing if you know that the other person feels very strongly about you and you just don't feel that way. You might feel guilty about not feeling that way. But there's some element of guilt that's coming into play here in terms of why you are holding on to this situation that's no longer serving you. And then the next card we have is Imrama. Where are you being called to journey to? And this is one of the important parts here to consider is, where is it that you're trying to go? Because if you're being called in a certain direction and you feel the call for that certain path, but this person is just not on that path, that person is not going to be someone who would support that goal, support that growth plan for you, then you need to make a decision. Is that if you're really being called in that direction, you need to make a decision. So let's see. Accept and receive. This is about accepting the situation for what it is, and then receiving whatever wants to come in from spirit. If you've been putting in all of this hard work and kind of go. It feels like these are going together just in terms of the color hues, with this kind of darkish color in here. So accepting like you might feel guilty that you're in a different place than this person and you feel bad about it. Like all of a sudden things have really turned around for you, but then this other person is really still struggling. Accept what's coming in for you from the divine and embrace it, accept it, receive it. And then how can you use that to your best good? So that is the message for water signs for today. And that's something just to keep an eye on and really think about and dig deep. Why is it that you're holding on to a situation that's no longer serving you? If it's guilt, digging down into why do you feel guilty about it? Is it an abundance block, like that you just don't feel worthy to receive blessings? So really dig on that and see if you can figure out why you're feeling that way. All right, now we are onto our air signs, which is our Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Let's see what the challenges are for you as we're looking at this situation. There's some cycle that's wrapping up. You kind of have this hesitancy to move into the next cycle, but you are being pushed to think outside of the box. That might be kind of scary, but let's take a look about what is this challenge, or what is the challenge there. Okay, so we have Six of Cups because that one did not want to shuffle back in here. You have Six of Cups and the Magician. All right, there's those two. So your Six of Cups energy is this, you're in your challenge space, is this comfort and tradition. And this is directly opposing this Hierophant in reverse energy, because the Hierophant in reverse is pushing you to think outside of the box, which is the opposite of like your comfort and tradition and nostalgia. This might be in the form of a job or what it is that you want to spend your time doing. If you're really being drawn to, I don't know, going out and helping to feed the homeless, or, feed the poor, build houses for the homeless, things like that. Maybe for you within your family, it's all about, well, but you have to make a lot of money. You have to be focusing your efforts on making money to take care of your family. That's what you need to do. And there could be that sense of, wait a second, but that's not what I want to do. I know there might not be any money in what it is that I want to do, but it makes me feel good and that's what I want to do. So it's kind of, you could be in situations where you're balancing that sense of, here's what I grew up believing and what I'm comfortable in, and here's what this new path looks like. For those of you from a relationship standpoint, if this is a relationship that's ending and then you have this period of, you know what, I don't want to be in another relationship. Maybe for you, the breaking outside of the box is being single. Maybe you're somebody that's always in relationships and that's because that's what feels comfortable, and you're being pushed to just sit with yourself and not make your life about being in connection with somebody else. You also have the Magician in your challenge space, that you might be having a tough time transmuting this heavier energy. So those two things are coming through as a challenge. Let's see energetically what we have coming through for our Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. The Lovers in reverse. Okay, so with your challenge here, the Lovers in reverse, this is about you're in a state of like this disharmony or distrust is pushing down on you. Energetically, there's some weird sense of what's happening with perception right now, just with planetary alignments, and hopefully that'll kind of smooth out, tomorrow. So there could be some distrust that's going on right now, not necessarily in general, but this could be the push for today, because this is for today's reading. So we'll see what things look like tomorrow, but it's almost like your challenge is this Magician energy. How do you move past that distrust? How do you move past that disharmony? Things might be out of balance right now. And part of the Lovers card is a card about decision. It's about balancing your masculine and feminine, or about coming into union. So with it being in the reverse, there's kind of that sense of, your connection's just off a little bit. Like you're not kind of seamlessly coming together. It's kind of like, oh, here's what our connection is trying to do, but it's not like it's seamlessly coming together the way that it usually has been. There can be some disruptions in communication because remember the Lover's card is Gemini. That's the card number 6. It's Gemini. It's about communication. With this thinking outside of the box, since in the upright, this is also about marriage. You know, in the upright, both of these, it's kind of like marriage and union and happy romance. In the reverse, you may be considering some sort of a different structure in terms of relationships. How do you do relationships? What does that look like? And with the example I gave earlier, that maybe part of the nostalgia feel for you is that you're used to being in relationships and that's where you're comfortable, and now you're being pushed to be single for a while. It could also be that you're being pushed to be in a relationship that has a different structure to it. But let's see what other messages want to come through. Change. I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. And this kind of speaks directly to this hesitancy to take a leap of faith. That, you know, nothing can grow in your life unless things are changing. Very rarely do you see people that have such a constant state throughout their whole life. And it's funny because even if you go back like to your 20-year reunion or your 30-year high school reunion, and people are like, you haven't changed a bit. I think it's probably meant as a compliment, like, oh my gosh, you look so young and you look so vibrant. But there's also that sense of, really? In 30 years, I haven't changed at all? I would like to think that I've changed and grown and, you know, that I'm a different person now than I was when I was 16 years old. So everybody changes. Well, for the most part, everybody's going to change as they age. And that's part of the evolution of your soul on this planet. The age of light, you've been training for this for lifetimes. As we enter the age of Aquarius, where there's really this focus on how do we do things for the good of humanity? What about the collective good? So it's not about individual people amassing their empire and how can I outfox everybody else so that I can get more of the pie than other people. Like that's not where we're at collectively. It's more of a how can everybody benefit? How can we all work together type of thing. You've been training for this for lifetimes. And so whatever this disruption is, the ending of one thing, beginning of a new thing, take that time to meditate and reflect on what is it. You're in a position right now where if something has ended, you're kind of in that sweet spot between something is ending, something new is going to begin. What do I want to create? What life experience do I want to create? How do I want to do that? Like before you just jump in blindly and say, okay, and now we're doing this, really think about what is it that you want to create so that from the beginning you can put the building blocks in place so that you're not just, throwing all these bricks together and then, you have this big pile and then, oh, okay, well, let me take this brick out. I didn't mean to throw that one in the pile. Like being very intentional and deliberate with what you're putting in place at this point. Stop, drop, and ground. That's kind of the energy I was talking about. Like, don't just say, oh, I need to, now there's a little bit of a lull in whatever. I need to quickly go and fill that. Like, really be deliberate about what steps you're taking going forward so that way you're not having to undo some of your work later. So I would definitely encourage you to work on your meditation, work on asking your guides for clarity, for help on what direction you should be going. And then that way you can start to slowly build your momentum in that direction in a way that you don't have to tear it all down, a few months down the road because you started putting in lots of effort in a direction just so that you could have something to do. So that was the message for air signs. Now we are on to our fire signs. That is our Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Let's take a look at what is the challenge for our fire signs. Oh my gosh. The challenge is that these cards are not shuffling nicely. All right. What is the challenge here for our fire signs? Ace of Swords and Knight of Swords. The challenge here, It's all in your it's all in your head. No, this is about thoughts. So your Ace of Swords, that is that breakthrough clarity. You're really having challenges and struggles around trying to get that clarity about what it is that you should be doing, what the word should, I don't really like that. What it is that you are here on this planet to do. And then this ace or this Knight of Swords energy is kind of that, yeah, let's just go for it type of energy. You know, this, I'm not going to say reckless, but look at the styling, suave dude. And then the girls that are, if you can see those, the girls in the background that are like, ooh, look at him. So there's that sense of opportunity. And this is your challenge. It's this energy of go for it. So that is, you know, this tough biker dude, he's just going to go for it. So your challenge that you're having right now is having this clarity, having these moments of breakthrough and clarity to know where you want to go. And then also the other part of the challenge is go for it. So depending on where you are in this journey of trying to understand your purpose here and understand the next chapter in your life, what you're being drawn to do, you may be in either one of these. Like one of them, you know, for some of you fire signs, you may not have that clarity to know where it is that you want to go. Others of you, you may be starting to have this clarity, but you're just lacking the courage to actually go for it. So that's the energy that's coming in terms of the challenges for fire signs. And some of that could be, you know, especially as you wrap up, you know, the world with this, you know, you've learned some lesson. You've kind of found your victory over this lesson, your triumph over this lesson. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time from when you learn the lesson to letting all of it soak in. Like really feeling the depth of the decision that you've made. Because again, since these three cards are major arcana cards, this is like a big event. This is you know, it's not just, oh, you know, having a little bit of an off day. There's a much bigger energy that this is a bigger life moment for you. And so sometimes there's that sense of, you know, you don't realize how much a situation was affecting you until you're totally out of it and your body decompresses in a different way. Like you may not have even realized how on edge you had been, you know, whether it was with a terrible job, whether it was with a unfulfilling relationship that was not in alignment with you, that sometimes you don't even realize how it felt, like how much you've gotten used to how bad it felt until it's done and you're away from it and kind of like detoxing off of it. The Tower. So the Tower is the energy for you today, fire signs. And, you know, the Tower is also, that can help you learn that lesson. This is something big, kind of, I'll call it very, very altering. You know, this is something where it's changing the foundations of some of your beliefs, whether that's at a 3D level, like, you know, you quit your job, your relationship comes to an end, whether it's in your mind, like you finally have that breakthrough moment. You finally have that realization of, I can't do this anymore, whether it's with a job, whether it's with a family dynamic that, you know, you're just, I can't, whether it's with a relationship. Sometimes that clarity is what triggers that Tower internally for you. And with the Tower, it's kind of like that energy of once it's happened, you can't go back to what it was before. Whether that's, like I said, whether that's in your mind, like you have this aha moment that, you know, things can't go back to the way they were, or it could be happening in the 3D. You know, once the house burns to the ground, the house is never going to be the same again. All right, trust. I will accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. And this is the big thing. When you have these big changes and you have some of the blues coming in here, you know, in the circle part, some of the blues are matching up. So having trust that that Tower is there to protect you. That tower is there to bring in something better on the other side of it, which is sometimes a hard message. All right. Council of Light, divine orchestration, helpers in the subtle realms. You have helpers. Trust that your helpers are there and they're trying to move the pieces around on the board for you. They're trying to move things around for your highest good. And it's a matter of, are you letting them, or are you clinging for dear life to wherever, like whatever pieces are on the board right now, and where are they? So make sure that you're working on surrendering and trust that things are moving in the direction for your best good, because you are epic. You deserve to have happiness. You deserve to be able to feel at peace in your life. So the divine is trying to help move pieces around on the board for you. All right, that was for our fire signs. Last up, we have our earth signs. So that is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Let's take a look at what all is coming through for you. And this is in the challenge space. So what are the challenges for our earth signs as it relates to this energy coming in of one cycle ending, then some delays before the next cycle? What are our challenges here? 2 of Wands in reverse and 10 of Wands in reverse. So got a lot of wand energy that's happening here. So our 2 of Wands in reverse, this is going to be like you're avoiding making a change, and there's a lot of indecision, and you're kind of failing to plan for the future. And then you just hit this point of stress and burnout. And so that's your challenge, is failing. Your challenge is there's this energy pushing on you of resisting the change. So your challenge is to overcome that resistance and to actually let this cycle close out. Your challenge is also, with this stress and burnout card, it is exhausting trying to maintain a structure that really needs to just go, or, maintaining situations that really need to go. So in the challenge space, with it being the 10 of Wands in reverse, is how do you keep yourself afloat long enough to let this cycle end? Because sometimes when you hit those points of exhaustion, then it's like you just keep doing the same thing you've always done because you don't have the energy to do anything different. But that's your challenge, earth signs, is, learning from the past. Like, stop clinging to the past, like learn from it and move on and overcome this sense of just exhaustion with your life in general. All right. Ooh. Strength is coming in. And then the High Priestess in reverse. So this is kind of being cut off from that inner wisdom, that divine feminine energy. But you also have strength coming in, which is hopefully going to help push you through, give you the strength and the energy you need to be able to release this old situation. Judgment. I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. And empathy. I am open to seeing both sides of the situation. So really needing to see both sides of it, and make sure that when you're looking at why are you in situations, asking yourself that, is it serving my highest good? That's always the bottom line question. Is it serving my highest good? All right. Then we have boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? And sometimes as one situation ends, before you're getting into a new situation, since there's this reluctance to take that leap, it's also about integrating the lessons you've learned from whatever this cycle is that just closed up. What did you learn? If it was, were there better boundaries that you could have put in place that would have helped protect your peace and your sanity a little bit more? And working on that so that the next time around, then you can have those better boundaries in place and have a more peaceful, balanced situation. Overthinking can spoil the magic. So that's one of those things, if you might be in your head a lot. Creator Earth. So for earth signs, it's, you can be the creator of your own experience here. So create something positive for yourself and your soul shines. So this is really, I'll call it that, like playful, lighthearted energy that wants to come in. And that's going to be part of what sits in this newness. So the Fool is all about something new, like a new beginning. There's hesitation on the new beginning, but what wants to come through with that is this playful, lighthearted, we'll call it high vibe energy. So use your power to create a better experience for you, one that's more in alignment with your soul, with your purpose, with what you're drawn towards doing. So I hope that you found today's message to be helpful, but as always, take only what resonates, and I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.